boom, 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 boom. 20 bucks. 20 bucks. You're on the line for 20 bucks. Hi, Jabor. It's Maggie, Mrs. Calabash and Derek, and welcome back to another episode of Mrs. Calabash Cooks. Today, we're thinking about Thanksgiving and using the leftovers from a Thanksgiving meal. So for the second or third day after Thanksgiving, the next day or the day after Thanksgiving, you can have a really good meal without having to do an awful lot of work. So I'm assuming you've got a ham and some leftover ham and some potatoes and some leftover potatoes that haven't been mashed or anything. So we're making scalloped potatoes and ham and mini rum and raisin bread puddings, because you probably got some bread left over from guests coming in and you didn't use it. So to begin with, I'm just going to start with the bread pudding. I'm going to be dashing around, so I'll have to tell Derek where I am. And he's probably going to shout to me and say, "Where are you?" because I've forgotten to tell him where I am. He's got a camera in front of him and that's what he's watching. So bear with me and bear with Derek. He's the one that has to put up with it. So to begin with the, just for the mini puddings, we've got some bread that I cubed and we're going to put that into the milk because the bread just needs to absorb some of the milk, like that, and then whilst that's doing like that, I'll come back and I'll put the rest of the topping on, so we can start it like that. It just saves a little bit of time. So back to the stove, and we're going to start the scalloped potatoes. Now you can see in here I've got the onions. Can you see that, Derek?
Can I see that? Yes, I can.
Right. The onions have been cooking in the butter, and I like, anybody who knows me, I like to cook them slow, saute them slowly. They don't brown, and by doing that, it brings out all the sweetness in the onion. And sweet pepper. I like, I'm very fond of red and orange peppers. So use whichever colour you like. If you like green peppers, use green peppers. So we're just cooking the pepper for a minute or two. Not for long, because they are nice and ripe and we don't want them too overcooked. Now, we've got flour and milk and a little, that's a little clove. You don't need a lot. You can use nutmeg or you can use clove in this recipe, and it really brings out the flavour of the sauce. So, flour, and I'm just, the pan gets hot. I'm just cooking the flour out so that the starch grains burst and it doesn't taste raw. If you bear with me in a minute, I'm just going to get some extra milk out of the fridge, just in case I need it. I'm not quite sure how accurately I measured the flour. It doesn't matter. You can always add some more milk. There we are. Don't be afraid if at this stage it goes lumpy. That's the starch grains bursting and it will come out. Now we want to stir this. You can see it thickens. Add some more. And we're going to add a little cheese, which I've left over there. I'll have to go back and get some cheese. You can add, you can make this any way that you like. This is a guideline. So if you feel that you'd like to make it a little bit spicy, then put either some cayenne pepper in or some pepper flakes. You might like to add some garlic or garlic powder. And also you can add a little mustard powder, ground mustard, with a cheese sauce. That's rather nice. So it's all a question of taste. And if you don't like something, if you don't like peppers, well, leave them out. It doesn't matter. So we're going to serve this. I like to, now when it gets to this stage, I like to take a whisk and just whisk like that until it thickens. I don't think I'm going to need any extra milk on this one. I think we're fine. Just, you can see it thickening, and you can't hurry this stage. If you do, you're going to burn. I'm going to add a little seasoning. This is Mrs. Calabash seasoning. So that's 2 of salt, 1 of pepper. And turn, you see, can you see, Derek, how it's thickened?
Yes.
It's thickened lovely. So bear with me again. I'm going to dash just over there and get the cheese. Yeedy. Now at this stage, let's just see. The cheese is a protein and we don't want it to go stringy. You've got a lot of heat in there. You've got the residual heat from the stove and your pan. So the cheese will melt. I like a nice cheesy sauce. And now this is the tasting time. I might just add a drop more milk. It needs a little more seasoning. Whoa, there we are. Get rid of that one. I'm going to add just a tiny drop more milk because I want the sauce to spread. There we are. That's better. Just a drop. Let me just taste that. That's good. Just that extra little bit of seasoning brought out the flavour of the cheese. There we are. I'll take the cheese back with me. There we are. I'm going to look in the oven now because I've got some mini puddings that I started cooking before. Yes, they're nicely cooked. I'm just going to alter the temperature of the oven now because I want it a higher temperature for the scalloped potatoes to cook. So, bake. I want to put this up to, my oven is very slow, so I've got it up to 550. And there we are. I'm going to let those cool over there. I've managed it. I've managed to knock over. I'm a bit clumsy this morning. Do you ever get mornings like that? There we are. I've got the ham and the potatoes. We need a serving dish. I don't want to crowd you out. An oven-proof serving dish. And this has just been lightly greased. And so, blah, 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 blah. Here we are. we just need to put a thin, that's to stop everything from, it's like a lasagna, to stop the potatoes sticking to the bottom of the dish. And my hands are clean, so I'm going to just put a layer of potato. And you see, these are sliced, cooked and sliced. And so what I do, if I'm thinking of making this dish the next day, and we're having potatoes the day before, I tend to cook a few more potatoes that I don't mash or do anything with, and then we've got enough for this dish. Now, a layer of ham. And this was just some ham that we had on the bone, and I just sliced it off. And the nice thing about this is that you can have the ham in the freezer and use it anytime. Another layer of sauce, like that. I'm making a mess, so let's just mop up. There we are. Now, another layer of potato, and then another layer of ham. Now, this is half the recipe because there's only 2 of us. And so this will make lunch. And I will probably serve this with some green beans. We've got lots of green beans still in the garden. So I will probably do some green beans with this. A layer
Why
of
are the potatoes so thick?
Because I don't want them to disintegrate in cooking. You can slice them thinner, but sometimes it doesn't matter if they disintegrate a bit, but certainly for the show, I don't want bits of potato. I want nice big pieces of potato. That's my that's my take on the subject. You can do them any thickness you like. This is a dish, as most of these dishes, the recipe is just, as I keep saying, is a guideline. It's what I call peasant cooking, which is the best form of cooking as far as I'm concerned. It uses fresh ingredients, minimum amount of effort, and the flavour is phenomenal. So you will need a spatula to get the sauce out of the pan. Spread it like that. That is lovely. There we are. We'll put that over there. And now just make sure that it's as clean as you can get it round the edges, because it will burn. And cheese. And this is a really good way of using the end bits of cheese that you've got in the cheese drawer. You know, you've got some cheese and it's getting to the rind and nobody wants to eat it. Well, grate it down and use it in a dish like this. That's what I do. Now this is going into the oven to heat through and so that it browns on the top. I've got that on at about 550 because, as I say, my oven is very, very low. Now, we've got the bread for the bread pudding. We've got an egg, which we're going to put in there, a little nutmeg, butter, which is melted, a little rum, some brown sugar, some cinnamon and raisins. Now I'm going to put the cinnamon in here and we'll start whisking. And all this is going over there. A little rum. You can use cider. I like to put everything in together. A little brown sugar. Again, you can add more if you want it sweeter, or if you're like me with being diabetic, not quite as much. It's optional. The raisins, those raisins are a little bit dry. That's all I can say. There we are. Now, all that goes in there like that. And we wait for the bread just to absorb the liquid. So we'll put this over on the side and let's get rid of our dirty dishes. And I wash my hands. This is where it's nice. When I was cooking school coordinator, I just hand the dishes to my assistant and they'd, at the end of the class we'd have all nice clean dishes and she'd keep me in check. There we are. Make sure, oh, I didn't put the nutmeg in. And it's only a pinch of nutmeg, but it makes all the difference. So, just a pinch of ground nutmeg. Again, give it a stir. And the bread will absorb all the liquid and the flavours. I've got some milk on there. There we are. Now we're going to, whilst that is just settling and absorbing the flavours, we're going to just take out the bread puddings that I made before, because I need that cake tin. It's the only cake tin of that size I've got, and it's actually my my Yorkshire pudding tin. So let's just put these on here. I need a nice flat-ended knife. This has just been lightly greased. And it makes 5. I can't stretch it to 6. I tried and they've got no substance to them. So I'm just going to grease that tin whilst it's warm, and then the butter or margarine will just melt round. You can oil it, you can spray it, just so that it's lightly greased, and then they come out easier. There we are. So that I've done all 6. So we might get a little bit more. Who knows? I might have cut up a little bit more bread. Anyway, now we're going to make the sauce that goes over the top of this. And it will be very liquid when I make it, but as it stands and it thickens. It doesn't go into a thick sauce, but it does thicken. So let's go back to the stove. Okay, Derek?
Yeah.
Okay, back to the stove. And this is really very, very simple to make. That was my sauce one. Butter, a little butter in there in the pan. Brown sugar. I'm just going to let that melt a little before I put the brown sugar in because I don't want the brown sugar to burn. I'm going to put the scalloped potatoes onto broil. So just bear with me. I've got it on broil. That's high. There. The butter's melting. Let's just add the brown sugar. And we've got half and half for this. If you've not got any half and, don't go out. If you've got double cream, 35% cream, and the recipe says half and half, don't go out and buy half and half. Just do half cream and half cream and half milk, and you've got a half and half. I added the rum to that. You can see it's bubbling nicely. We're going to add the cream. Let's just mix it well. There we are. And this will thicken as it cooks. So just keep stirring. We want it, you will see it thickening slightly, not an awful lot. Can you see it, how it's thickening? Can you see that?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, it's not going to be a thick, it's not going to be a really thick sauce. But the cream is a thickener. It's a liaison, so it will thicken. That's why you put cream and eggs and flour in recipes. They're a thickener, especially in sauces. There we are. Going to turn that down just for a minute, and you see it's just coating the back of the spoon at the moment. So let's take this over and put it in its dish. I would make this a couple of hours before serving the puddings, and just give it a stir occasionally, and you'll find that it's nice and cooked and thick. And the cool sauce, I don't want to put a hot pan on my working surface. There we are. So that's the sauce to go on the puddings. We're going to put the puddings. They might just be cooked by the end of the show. Who knows? Let's hope. Now, Derek is notoriously fussy, aren't you, love?
Yeah.
About food. And I made these, and I said, do you want to try one? And it was, well, I suppose if you twist my arm, I'll try it. And he loves them. So that is praise indeed for a bread pudding, believe you me. I never thought in 1,000 years I'd get him to eat a bread pudding. So these are going back in the oven. I'm going to turn the oven down now because I'm going to put it on bake, and just put it to about 375 because my sauté potatoes are cooked. Oh, there we are. They're nice and brown and bubbling. They're hot, so let them stand for 5 or 10 minutes before serving. And I like to make them look what my daughter used to say, are you going to make it look pretty, Mum? Because we eat with our eyes. Can you hear the hounds of the Baskervilles? They're up there. They've got the television on. They've got the fan on because the bedroom was a little bit warm, and they're complaining. They want to be down here. Add a little bit of colour. I was hoping that I'd got some parsley just to put a little bit of greenery, but the cold morning yesterday just about killed off all my parsley, so that was a shame. I didn't bring it in fast enough. Now, that's a meal which didn't take a lot of cooking because a lot of the prep has already been done. It's been cooked the day before. So this is the sort of meal that I like. And this time of the year, I would serve a side dish of green beans. Later on in the year, say around Christmas time, Easter, if we don't have the green beans, I like to make a cabbage dish. Whilst I've got the oven on like this, I might do a roasted cabbage. And that's with Parmesan. It's 2 lots of cheese, so I'm a little bit, it's a bit cheesy. It's with garlic and Parmesan. Or a fried buttered cabbage. Or just an ordinary cabbage, cooked cabbage. It's good, but add something with some fibre to it. Or you could just serve it with a salad. A nice green salad goes, especially if you've had a heavy day the day before. You might have some salad left over. Just a nice green salad to eat with this. And then it's a reasonably light meal. You're tired from the day before. So I'll say goodbye on that line, and I'll say goodbye to Jabor, and we'll listen to 20 bucks, and I'll see you next week. Lovely. So please enjoy the show, enjoy your weekends, and I'll say goodbye from Maggie, Mrs. Calabash, and Derek. So bye everybody, for 20 bucks.